Good morning, friends. I'm Rich with the Gospel Rescue Mission. I work there alongside Sean as we work to help those who are homeless and in poverty experience a new life. So this morning I'm going to start off with, school just started, so we're going to start off with a pop quiz. I know that scares some of you a little bit, but I'm sure you've been in the textbook, spending some time researching and reading through the Word of God to prepare for church. You don't just show up here randomly, I'm sure of that. So we're going to have a little pop quiz. I'm going to make it a little easy. I'll tell you right where it's at, Matthew chapter 11. Verses 4 and 5, so you get your answers right there. Also, most of the answers are pretty obvious, so you should be able to give those answers. And we're going to do it as a group, so all you can answer. I know you're not supposed to talk in church, but today we're going to make that exception. So Matthew chapter 11, verse 4 and 5, just kind of says some context for all this takes place. John the Baptist is in prison. He's not too sure all of a sudden. He's ready to pass off his disciples, his followers, on to Jesus. He's like, what do I do here? I want to make sure that I'm passing on to the right person. So he sends his messengers to Jesus, say, are you really the Messiah? Are you the one we've been waiting on? Now, Jesus could have just said yes. That's the obvious answer. But Jesus knows something that we often forget in the church. Talk is cheap. People talk a good game, but do they act it out? Do they actually live the faith that we proclaim? And so Jesus said, you know what, I'm going to show you by my actions. So he goes through these different things to prove that he is the Messiah. And as followers, we should also be doing those things. It should be a continuation. So here we go. Here's ready for the pop quiz. I don't know how many you guys are pretty confident. Nobody's opened up their textbook. So there we go. We get this pretty obvious. Okay, so he says the blind will receive what? Sight. Obvious. That's pretty easy. The blind, that's what they need. They need to have sight. When a blind man came up to Jesus, says, hey, Jesus says, what do you want? He goes, I want to see. He didn't say, well, I want a cane, I want a seeing eye dog, I want this other stuff. I want to see. So it's pretty obvious what that is. Okay, the lame, what do they get? They get to walk. That is awesome. That's what we want. The lame person to say, well, I'd like to have a walker. Could you give me a new wheelchair? No, he wants to walk. That's what the lame want. All right? The lepers, what do they want? They need to be cleansed. That's what they need to be cleansed. And also want to highlight to be cleansed meant that they can go into the temple. They can go worship. They can be in fellowship and community with everybody else. Those who are homeless oftentimes are outcasts. The lepers were the outcasts of their time. The homeless are the outcasts of our society today. By cleansing them, he gave them that opportunity to be part of community, to be part of the church, to be part of society. All right, the deaf, what do they get? They get to hear. They get to listen. They get to hear things. For those who get to my age, maybe you start to lose a bit of your hearing, and everybody has to say things 3 or 4 times. So that's what you need more than. Now, here's the trick question, so hopefully you're all prepared for this. What do the poor get? They get the gospel preached to them, but what does the church tend to do? What's the church's answer? We give them stuff. We're going to give you some clothes. We're going to give you some food. We're going to give you some all this stuff. We give them stuff, but what they need is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's what we do at the Gospel Rescue Mission. Yes, we're going to give them clothes because they come in naked, literally sometimes. They come in with no shoes. We're going to give them shoes. They need food. We're going to give them that food. But that's not really what we're giving them. We're giving them the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want to tell you one quick story. We had a gentleman he stayed with us multiple times. And his name is Brandon. And Brandon was made famous on Facebook Live. Somebody took time to highlight him. Really, it was done to make fun of him. Though it was kind of set up with this idea, well, we're going to support him. We're going to love on him. We're going to care for him because he's on Highway 69 and his addiction has gotten so bad that he can't even hold his body steady. He can't hold himself. His body is so messed up from his years of methamphetamine addiction, he can't do it. So people were giving him clothes, food, putting him up in hotels. They were taking care of him, taking care of all of his stuff. But Brandon doesn't need stuff. He needs the gospel preached to him. He needs addiction recovery. He needs healing from his years of addiction. But with all that stuff, he has no reason to come in and get that help. I want to go a little bit further and tell you more about Brandon's story. Because see, if you cannot love the poor if you don't know them. You cannot love the homeless unless you take time to get to know them as a person. So I talked to Brandon's mother to try to figure out where he was because he's unreasonable in his addiction. You cannot have a conversation with somebody deep in their addiction. Cannot really understand them. So this is what we're doing. We're robbing Brandon's mother of the love of her son. See, Brandon was a straight A student. I don't know much about what that would be like. But in second grade, Brandon got a B. And in my mind, B's to get degrees. I'm cool. But not for Brandon. He made a vow that he has kept from that day to now. I am never going to get a B again. I'm getting straight A's the rest of my academic career. I am determined. I am going to do this. So he kept that oath. He studied. He did whatever it took to get straight A's. He got all the way through grade school, junior high, high school, and he starts college. He gets to college, first semester, straight A's. Keeping that streak going. Second semester, though, he has a tough class. And he's in danger. He might get a B. It's a high B, but it's a B. Brandon can't handle that. So he figures out, if I get an A on the final, I get an A in the class. So he can't quite stay up long enough to study hard enough, so he begins to use meth to stay awake to get an A on that final. Well, Brandon got an A on that final, but he never went back to school. And now he's on the streets. Typically, I lose track of those who are homeless once they leave my facility and they don't know where they go. Brandon showed up on another agency's website, so I know he's still alive. I know we lost somebody last week that was homeless. I haven't figured out who that is yet because that doesn't make the news. It doesn't say, well, Joe died or Susie died. We don't know who those people are. We don't get to find out until our homeless information network eventually fills us in. But by giving him all that stuff, Brandon never gets the help that he actually needs. So to share with you a little bit about what we do, we feed the hungry. We do feed them. We care about them. But along the way, we're praying over that meal. Along the way, we're telling them God provided this food. We feed 75 to 100 every single day. Right now, we have close to 100 staying at the mission. So, we're probably about 115, 120 when it comes to full meals. But it isn't about the meal. It's about the connection, the love, the compassion, where we get to share with them our heart, our life, and what Jesus has done for us. We clothe them. They come in, again, sometimes with no clothes. The hospital will often release people in hospital gowns. Sometimes they've escaped from the hospital in hospital gowns. But they show up in hospital gowns and little booties. You can't do that in the winter. You can't do it most of the year. We have to put regular clothes on them. A lot of them come in with felonies on their record. We help them move forward with all that. But I want to kind of finish this up, not having a whole lot of time this morning. But I have one more quiz for us to do this morning, because really what we want to give them is hope. Because hope is what's going to help them go on. And hope is defined as tomorrow is better than today. So if I can believe that tomorrow is going to be better than today, then I can go on. I can keep going forward. But if I don't think tomorrow is going to be any better, I can't go on. There's no reason for me to do anything. So hope is God's most powerful tool. And my friends, we have the gospel. There is no greater hope ever created, no other greater hope given to us. So we're giving them stuff, but we don't give them hope. We haven't really accomplished what God has called us to do. So here's the power of hope. Science confirms hope. So here we go. This is an incredible experiment that they did. They took rats. Now, real quick, there's nobody who thinks rats are the greatest animal ever created. You love rats. If you are, I might offend you. So I want to kind of give you that heads up, so you want to step out. Because I'm going to talk about this experiment. They did not treat rats very nicely in this experiment. Most of us are okay with not treating rats very well. So they took a group of rats and they put them in a vat of water and said, little rat, swim. And that rat swam as long as that rat could swim. Average rat would make it 15 minutes. Then he died. They literally drowned to death 15 minutes, as long as the rat can make it. So round two, they put the rat in the water and said, little rat, swim. At 14 and a half minutes, they pull the rat out of the water. And they look at the rat and say, you're a good swimmer, little rat. Sweet little rat. Your mama loves you. You're a good rat. Put them back in the water. So here's where the quiz comes in. How long do you think they made it on round two? They've already swam 14 and a half minutes. They only were out of the water for 30 seconds to a minute. Any guesses? 20 minutes, would you say? 20 minutes? Anybody else want to go a little higher? 30 minutes. 2 hours. Anybody want to go any higher? 4 hours. Let's just cut to the chase. 4 days. And that is with a moment of hope to a rat that doesn't actually speak English. What a power do you think the gospel is going to have if we can give that in to someone else? The gospel that is eternal. The gospel that doesn't change. When you support and work with the Gospel Rescue, that's what we're doing. We're giving them hope. So a couple things that you can do, that you would do to support us, and that we can work together to do. First of all, we have this book called When Helping Hurts. We recommend that. I'm going to give a copy to your pastor to enjoy on his own. And if you so desire, if you'd be willing, if you read it and say, you know what, this might be good for our people, I'd be happy to lead a book study, book club study in my home if that's going to work out, because I think that book is so powerful to what we're trying to do. So that's something I'm just going to put out there as an offer. You also can support financially the Gospel Rescue Mission. You go to our website, grmok.org. There's a donate button, all that. I'm not here to necessarily get a lot of funds, but understand we don't take any government funding. Because Uncle Sam says, oh, if you preach the gospel, we're not going to fund you. So I said, oh, Uncle Sam, I don't need your money. Because I'm giving the gospel one way or another. I will not bow down to that. You can also just like us on Facebook, GRMOK 1931. That's when we started, 1931. We've been around. We're not a fly-by-night. We've been around a long time. But I want you to like us and follow what we're doing on there. And this is why. The faith is under attack. We get bad reviews from time to time saying, oh, they forced the gospel down my throat. Oh, they're faith-based. They don't count. And I'm seeing this more and more. If you saw the Supreme Court on what was going on in Grants Pass, all the comments were, oh, they don't count. There's no shelter in Grants Pass because it's only faith-based. It doesn't count. We had somebody speak to our city council say, there is no shelter in Muskogee because it's faith-based. It doesn't count. We're being discounted because of that. So you need people to support us on there or look at us on Facebook and say, when somebody says that, you say, you know what? You don't know what you're talking about. They're treating the whole person. They care about the whole person. We need to work together as a body of believers to make that happen. We need to work together. Because when we work together, we can give that hope. And the world gets better for all those who are homeless and for those of us who get to know them and love them and have them part of our life. So I thank you again for this opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing at the mission. If you have more individual, personal stuff, I'll be around after church. I come here often, so I'm happy to answer any of those.
Thanks, Rich. He didn't give you his last name. He can give it to you later when you talk to him. We're going to be doing this more often as a church because we used to have a thing called We Serve. If you're around here, you remember that. We spelled with two I's. Two I's make a we, right? But I think we need to get back into understanding we need to be in our community working, not just living, but serving and volunteering. So I wanted to give Rich a chance to share about gospel mission. You can also talk to Sean. Sean now works there. He is supervisor over something. I think toilet paper and tidy bowl. I think something like that is his title. Seriously, he is a supervisor there. I don't know what all he's over now, but it's a lot because he's taking more blood pressure medicine. So it must be something important. If you haven't heard, there will be something coming like this to the Tahlequah area. I know it's been written up already and it's getting out there. So guys, here's the opportunity for us to get involved and help change our community and for us to learn, all right? Next month, we're going to have FCA come and talk about what they do. John Morris will be talking in September about ways that we can get involved and help our kids.